What has happened to the relationships inside the salon? Do you want to bring them back? Because if you do, you need to pay attention to today's podcast.
Salon owners are some of the most amazing people on planet Earth. The only problem is sometimes their hearts are so big and they give so much of themselves to their staff and guests that it creates unintended consequences. Our goal is to change the industry by elevating the way the rest of the world sees salons, spas, and barbershops and give it the credibility that it truly deserves. This is the Salon Owner Evo Revo Show. Today's podcast is brought to you by Salon Scale, allowing you to charge by what you know, not by what you feel.
We today are talking about relationships, and we got a special guest on today's show that's been talking about relationships. How do you bring them back inside the salon? But if you're on with us live, would you do me a favor, and in the video comment below, would you do me a favor and drop in what city you're on from? I'd love to find out so we can give some love to people all over the country, all over the globe. I was just chatting with somebody who listens to our show from the UK yesterday. So big shout out to our UK family and family overseas. So glad to have you guys on that are joining us live today. Doug, good to see you, man.
How's it going? Good to be here.
Dude, so good to have you on. And today on the show, who I think is a great person to be talking about this, because I think he just does this naturally and effortlessly, in my opinion, is the one, the only, Mr. Matt Beck from freesaloneducation.com. What's up, Matt?
What's up, fellas? How are you?
Dude.
How's it going?
Good.
Super good. Always good to have you on, and really excited to have you here. If you guys don't know Matt Beck, most likely you don't know me, but you know Matt. I'm going to just put it that way because Matt runs one of the largest YouTube channels, a huge resource at freesaloneducation.com, and gives away tons and tons of valuable tips on pretty much everything salon. Matt and I met, I guess it's been a couple years now. We met at a Millennium Conference. Was that what it was?
Yep. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute. So, you know, we've been able to connect a few times. We dork out on all things salon related. But Matt is just the master of putting together amazing tutorials, online creative ninja master wizard. I don't know if that's your official title on all your business cards, Matt, but it should be. And you also run an amazing salon out in Pennsylvania. And, you know, through all this, I know you guys have, you know, been through all the ups and downs, because Pennsylvania, like California, has been another one of those interesting states that has, you know, gone back and forth with when they are locked down and when they aren't locked down. Yeah. But you're now talking about how do you bring these relationships back? Because there are people out there that are still struggling to bring in all their guests, still trying to figure out, like, you know, basically like shook up the whole salon industry. It was like shaking out the rug, right? And people started re-examining their relationships. They're getting their hair cut from their neighbor who happens to cut hair down the street. And they're like, now everybody's got a different idea about what a haircut looks like. Why is the relationship such an important part of that in your mind?
So basically what I want to do is I want to break down kind of my thoughts on the beauty industry prior to COVID and all the shutdowns and all of that, right? So the biggest thing for me has always been that it really doesn't matter how talented you are at cutting hair. Although I train and teach cutting hair and coloring hair and all of that every single day, I do understand the importance of knowing it. But when it comes down to it, I've seen people that are terrible at doing hair that are really successful behind the chair. So what is the secret ingredient, you know, to becoming more successful behind the chair? And it's always been relationships. So I think it was actually talk about Millennium. You know, John Harms is somebody that, you know, when I first opened my salon business, I listened to him a lot because obviously when you own a software company, you have the numbers that all these salons are performing, right? And his biggest thing was always, you know, after 6 to 8 visits in the salon, usually you're only retaining about 10% of your clientele. Why is that? Well, you know, the first visit, we're all excited about it. And it's funny because I was actually this morning just kind of browsing Facebook, right? And I see Tom Brady, right? And we can like him or not, but I see Tom Brady and he's in the parade, right, for winning 7 Super Bowls. And he takes the trophy from one boat and he throws it to another boat and they catch it. And a lot of people in the comments are like, you know, after you've won 7 Super Bowls, I guess you just don't care about the trophy. Well, that made me think about, you know, this industry and how it works. And, you know, that first time a client comes in and sits in our chair, we do everything for them.
They're special. They're the most important person on planet Earth.
Exactly. So, so we do everything, we roll out the red carpet, we offer them beverages or whatever. Some things we can't do because of COVID now, but, we do all these things to make clients feel comfortable, and they love it. They love the business. They write a great review. Second visit comes along. We're still hanging in there. But by the third, fourth, fifth visit, you're treating your new clients with that red carpet, and your existing clients, it becomes, hey, go sit over there. I'm running late. Like all these things, I'm canceling on them. I'm moving them.
Totally.
And when you do
they'll
that,
understand. We're homies now,
exactly,
right?
Yeah. We're best friends.
It doesn't matter.
Exactly. So you can't treat it that way. You got to think about it as their first visit every single time. Thorough consultation. Talk about changes. Like I say the biggest thing, the reason that people leave is because they're bored. Like we think that we're really important. We think that people love hair like we do. Like people just don't. They're looking for an escape. They're looking for an experience. Like they're looking for all these things. And if you're not giving that, then they're going to go somewhere else. And especially if a pandemic happens and they didn't want to go there anyways. So like I look at no-shows. We talk about no-shows. Stylists complain about it all the time, but you get a no-show because they don't want to come see you, right? Like if you were so fun and you were providing such an experience, then people would come. So who gets the no-shows? Because I know somebody that's fully booked 3 months in advance, and that client knows it and they love that person. They're not going to, they might occasionally no-show, but they're not going to be, that stylist isn't getting the no-shows like the other people. So you got to really assess when things are happening. And this is like in general, right? Like I look at, like, I've gained a lot of weight over the last 12 years, right? I gained a lot of weight from when I was 21 to what I am now. Is it the food's fault? Probably not, right? Like, so I got to assess, like, what
same foods were there.
Exactly. What is my day-to-day? What am I doing? And you got to take control and take ownership of the things that are causing the negative stuff. So whether it's negative stuff on Facebook, it's clients not showing up, it's you not being as busy in the salon, like people want to feed into the negativity, and it's just that's not how I work. I look at, anything that's happening to me is a result of my actions and what I did. So it's just flipping that and changing it, so now go to the gym, don't eat like you used to eat, don't eat ice cream at midnight. Like, all of these things you got to change, and you got to look at people, and think of it more as a relationship, and train yourself every single day to be better at your job. So you're not going to lose clients if you practice every day to get better. And practicing isn't the game, right? So like Tom Brady, and I'm going to use him again. I don't even like him, but I'm going to talk about him again.
Yeah, you went heavy on sports analogy, but I like it. You used a relevant topic to make it happen. I like it. Let's go with Tom Brady. If you guys are Tom Brady fans, or if you love him or hate him, we said controversy today, Matt, and you brought it up. Here it is.
There you
brought it to the table.
So, but this is the thing. Like, no one's practicing in the Super Bowl, right? Like the Super Bowl isn't practice, right? That's what you practice your whole life to be at. So, I look at, I was involved in sports growing up. Like, I know a lot of hairdressers aren't, but it doesn't really matter. It's thinking about things a little bit, just taking from other industries or other subjects and just thinking about them and relating them to your life, right? So when you look at like a sports thing, like the game isn't where you practice. The game is, and behind the chair isn't where you practice. Like you can, but you're talking to your client. Like you don't have time to really go over things. My biggest thing for 2021, I hate the way that I cut this one bob. And every single time I cut this bob, I get miserable after it. I literally want to take the mannequin head and throw it across the parking lot because there's one little bit of it that I cannot something about it. It might be the left side one day, it's the right side the next, and it's just not perfect, and I want it to be. But those are the things that drive me. So I sit there and I focus, and I'll cut a mannequin head for 4 hours just focusing on it. And I got a lot of stuff to do, but I take the time out because I don't just want to be the internet guy or the YouTube guy. I want to be good at what I do as well. I don't want to just be the stylist in the salon that's funny and gets away with everything because they're funny, but they're not great at doing hair.
Dude, so true. So true. And by the way, I think there's so many things, Matt. It's like, you can get away, and this is random story, but like I used to get away with going to the gym when I before I got married. I was going to the gym, and I told the trainer when I went to the gym, I said, listen, I'm going to befriend you, and you're going to let me get away with murder here at the gym, because I'm going to be funny. I'm going to make jokes. You're going to like me, and you're not going to want to push me hard. So I'm just telling you up front, don't let my relationship make me slack off.
And you are, that's true. Yeah, you're one of those people too, because I've known you now for a while. Like you could get away with that. Like you do. You have a way better personality than I do. You know what I mean? Like you have that gift. Like you're a salesman.
Thank you.
You know what I mean?
Dude,
like,
I appreciate the fun part of it, but it's like I like to have fun with people, and I think that's it, right? And I think sometimes, to your point, is when you have a relationship like that and you're trying to have fun with somebody, you get loose, it gets casual, it gets all those things, and maybe part of it is, to your point of being, a salesman or whatever it is like maybe that is because somewhere deep down I want to get away with things when I, I want to be late every once in a while, or I want to whatever, and people will kind of let it go. But the question is that what you're practicing? Are you practicing the ability to build that relationship so you can get away with something, or are you practicing that ability so you can be better at building relationships? Because that's how I look at it, right? The better I am at talking to people, having conversations, the deeper, in my opinion, my relationships become. And that's why if I met you one day, I try to treat you the same way that I would if I knew you for the last 10 years. Like that's kind of the game, right? So Matt, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, I'd love to find out how you teach your team how to practice. And Doug, maybe you can tell us too about how you're getting your team to practice inside the salon. All when we come back in just about a minute. We'll be right back after this quick break.
Hey guys, welcome back. We're chatting with Matt Beck, me and Jason, and we're talking about how do you create that relationship. So Matt, inside of your salon, how do you teach your other stylists? We've talked a lot about what your personal philosophy is, but inside your salon, how do you motivate your other staff or get them to see the importance of the relationship inside the salon?
So I think, post-COVID, I think one of the biggest things that we've been as a team focusing on is, and I have a small team, so like I don't try to pretend like I can manage 50 people at a time, but at the same time, I try to keep the relationships with them in the same respect, right? So no disrespect, just straight up. I try to be more of a business kind of focused thing, and teach through example or lead by example, and treat them in that way. So that's really the main focus for me. It's not so much like I'm not, I've been watching The Office a lot lately just to calm my mind and, trying to get through it. I'm not like every 2 seconds, let's go to the break room and have a conversation, like that kind of thing. It's more, address things when they need to be. I also, again, have 6 staff. So I'm not trying to run an army here, and free salon education takes up a lot of my time. So, so with that being said, I don't want to sit here and tell you I have a ton of systems where,
but look, Matt, dude, sometimes when you have a team of 6, I think it becomes even harder, to be really honest. It's really easy to have like a training manager and to have other people who are maybe doing the training. But when you have 6 people, I think this is like going back to what we started before the break, was like when you have really tight relationships with 6 people, calling them in the break room and saying, let's all get together and practice, they're going to be like, wah, wah. Like, thanks, Matt. Thanks for being my dad. Tell me I need to practice. So, like, how do you encourage, like, some practice? Or how do you get them to, like, I mean, maybe is it through your work ethic because you're sitting there practicing that bob for 17 hours? Or, like, what are the things that you do to kind of get your team involved?
I think it's a little bit of that. I hope it's a little bit of that. And then, but I know it's not always, and it doesn't inspire everyone to watch someone else doing things. And I think people see a benefit for me sitting there practicing it. And sometimes maybe they don't see it as much for themselves. I don't know why, but I think people are just wired differently. But the one thing I would say is, and I had a thought in my mind as you were saying that, because I think, you know, it is tough with 6 people. What I try to do is like, you know, give opportunity to people that I see are pushing or putting in extra effort, you know, and I don't give opportunity to people that aren't pushing and putting in effort. And that could be as many as 6 people, and there's 2 to 3 to 4 people that aren't putting it. Like, you just got to watch it. And then as I see, you know, more effort happening, then I start giving more opportunities. For example, you know, Danielle is a stylist at my salon, super talented. Everybody that works at my salon is super talented. And it's kind of the same reason I get so upset with my 12-year-old is that I know he's capable of so much. So when I see him do something that seems ridiculous, I get a little extra upset. You know, so I look at the 6 people that work at my place and they're super talented. Well, Danielle, you know, I do a Zoom class every Monday with stylists from all over the world. You know, and she joins in on every single one of those, and I've seen it. Nice. And I watch her log in, and they don't have to, not all of them do. But I see that. So every time somebody comes up to me and they say, well, who should I give this client to? Give it to Danielle. You know, Danielle's now going to be live on Free Salon Education every Thursday because I see her putting in the effort, you know, and she's super talented. So I want to showcase it. Like, those are little things. Like, I have other things to offer, you know, and then we offer health insurance for our staff. And, you know, but not, if you don't want to be here the entire, you know, week, or you take some time off or whatever, like, those kind of benefits go to the people that are putting in the extra effort. So it's really about that, to me, is seeing, being visual of who is putting in the effort in the salon, and then, you know, rewarding it that way.
Yeah, well said. Doug, thoughts for you on building relationships inside the salon?
I think one of the things that we talk about a lot is, like, one of the things with mine, and we've got a couple locations, that stuff. So when I go in, I don't do as much as managing. I do more relationship building with them. I make it a point to build a relationship with each and every person that's in the building whenever I'm there. That's more valuable than me doing management stuff whenever I'm there. I can do management stuff when I'm off at the office. But one of the things that we talk about all the time is learning the right lesson. Because sometimes people get in a situation, maybe the clients are no showing on or having issues. Like, so what do you need to learn here? What's the lesson you need to learn to get past this? Because people generally default to a very easy lesson, or another way, excuses for all the hard lessons, and I'll learn the easy thing, but it just still doesn't solve the problem, because I didn't address, you know, what's the big lesson I need to learn here. So it's the discussions we try to have is, you know, what do I need to do differently? How could I approach this differently? If I'm looking at, it's fine. We've got a very successful Danielle in our place too, Matt.
It's always the Danielle. If you're a Danielle and you're watching, say hell yeah. It's all about her
and saying, why is she growing so quickly? Why is her books so full, and why is she not having? Okay, well, let's look at that. What is she doing that you're not doing? And so then what could you learn there and start doing it? Because most times it's going to push you outside your comfort zone and get you outside of your excuses to get to that next level. Because right now, I mean, my God, everybody's got every excuse in the world. I mean, number one's Corona. I mean, that's the first thing. Why is it? Well, Corona. Well, Corona. It's like, well, Corona's not always going to be here. So that convenient excuse is going to soon be gone. So you need to take a good hard look at what you're actually doing to create those relationships. Because that is what it's more about the experience than it is the talent. To Matt's point earlier, it's just that's the case. It's people want the experience. They obviously want a good hairdresser, but they want the experience. Someone that cares about it, someone that puts them first. Because I think that's the other thing. Sometimes the stylist starts to, when that relationship builds up, starts to put themselves first ahead of the client. Because they think they're so important to the client, and that's a hard lesson to learn sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
We talked about before, right? Is that pre-COVID, Matt, people would come to the salon because they wanted to feel special, right? They wanted to feel special inside the salon. Then COVID hit, and they wanted to feel safe, and then special became an afterthought.
Yeah.
Right. And all of a sudden, like, the salons that are not doing so well, that are struggling, are the ones that are so focused on safety, and they forgot to make the guest feel special.
Yeah.
As we get close to the end of the podcast, Matt, 3 tips you would recommend to help a guest feel special. For any stylist that's watching, for any salon owner to maybe bring this up in a team meeting, what would be 3 things that you could recommend to make the guest feel special, to make the stylist feel like they're treating their guest right? What would you recommend?
You want to go, Doug? Or you want me to go?
Well, I'll hit the first one. I think, taking good notes whenever you're talking to them in their client profile, putting something down that you just talked about so you can bring it. You're not going to be able to remember all that stuff. But if you can bring that up in that when they come back in, it's going to bring they're saying, wow, they actually are thinking care about me. And it's not a trick. It's just you can't keep it all in your mind. So put it in their profile so that you can stay up with them and show them that you truly care about what's going on in their world.
Yeah, and not just on the first visit, but on every visit. Are you taking new notes about the guest? I think, Matt, you hit that on the head, right? Like, are you still taking notes on visit 6, or is it like, how's the kids?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And I think that's a really good one. And I think taking notes, and we all have computer software or phones or anything like that nowadays that we can take those notes. And I think that just listening, I think, is probably the biggest thing. I'm now that I'm going to the gym and I'm running, I'm listening to audiobooks, which I never did because I have a half-mile commute to work. But now I'm listening to this book about listening, and it's hilarious because I find myself drifting off during the book. I'm like thinking about other things, and I'm like, wait, guy, you're listening to a book about listening, and you can't listen. So just try and figure out like what can make you, if you actually listen to the conversation you're having behind the chair, you'll actually retain a lot more. And, I think that's great for building relationships. Everybody wants to talk. That's why social media is such a big deal, because everybody wants to talk. They want to say their piece. But just sitting back and listening to the guest, I think that's something that, for me, I've always been so into my work, whatever I'm doing, that I'm half listening to them and I'm not providing a lot of the conversation. But I relied a lot on my talent part. But when I find that I actually take that moment to just really listen in on what they're saying and react, that can go a long ways. So I think that's probably one of my number one things right now that I'm trying to focus on, is being a better listener and not letting my mind drift off, because I know I can.
It's a good tip, man. I'll throw in a tip too, actually, in here. That's cool. One of the things that comes up for me, I just heard this the other day, and it really stuck out for me like a sore thumb, is, so you mentioned it, Matt, and it just came up to me. It's like, so often we're in our head, right? We're in our head. We're worried, like, are they going to buy? What are they doing? Will they like me? What's going on? And we live here. And this idea of like moving from our head to our heart in a conversation, and this whole idea of like, I can listen with my head and go, okay, what's Matt going to say next? Am I ready to respond to Matt as soon as he's done talking? Yeah. Or I can go to my heart for a second. And I know this sounds super crazy and cheesy, and like, if you guys think I've lost it, just tell me in the comment section and you can ignore me for the last 30 seconds. But if you can take your hand, and the next time you sit with someone, you really feel like you're in your head and you're worried about, are they going to buy retail and what's going on, and do they like me? Will they come back? Put your hand on your heart while you're talking to that person. And I don't know what it is about that moment of just putting a hand up on your chest, right on your heart, and just thinking about it. It forces you out of your mind into your heart, and it really will allow you to listen with a very different level of attention. And I just have found, for me, sometimes, and maybe now I'm selling myself out, right? As I'm talking to people, if I really feel like I'm just caught up somewhere else, I'll put my hand up on my chest, or my heart. I'll kind of put it right here as I'm listening, and it's just a reminder for me that I should be listening with my heart to the people that are sitting there. And it just takes me out of that go, move as fast as you can mode, because when you can listen with your heart instead of with your head, it just changes that dynamic just so deeply, and all of a sudden you have just a deeper just check in with yourself. And if you need to do it and you're running around fast, you're running around from guest to guest to guest to guest to guest, and you're running behind you, whatever, take that second, put your hand on your heart, take a deep breath. And if that's a little too like woo-woo for you guys, then don't. But I'm just saying, try it, and see if that changes anything in your experience. If it doesn't, then oh well, you put your hand on your chest one time. I
expect you from now on, when we're having a conversation,
that's
to just be right here with me. Right?
Now you know. Now you know.
This
You're
expectation.
I like it, man. I like it.
Look, are you even listening?
Yeah. Are you even listening? Because I do not see your hand up there. By the way, you don't have to leave it there the whole time. You just got to like graze it, give it a little pat, and you're on your way. That's all I'm saying. If today has been wicked valuable for you, do me a favor and say valuable in the comments. If you're on with us on the video portion of the podcast, which, by the way, you can find over at facebook.com/highperformancesalon or youtube.com/highperformancesalon. In with us live every single Thursday, 8:30 Pacific, and check out the podcast. But Matt, this has been super valuable. I love the conversation, dude. It's always good having you on. I feel like, you know, you make me cooler just hanging out with you, because you always bring the coolness factor times 1,000. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And by the way, if you're not already following Matt, if you're not one of the millions of people who already follow him, please go over to freesaloneducation.com. You can also check out his app, which I believe we have some content in there too. You can check that out. They just search Free Salon Education in the App Store, right?
Yeah, FSE Now is the app.
Yeah.
So
FSE
tons of cool stuff in there. All free
stuff. All free. Matt's freaking awesome. If you haven't put some of Matt's stuff inside your salon's associate program to let them know about how to cut and do some amazing other things in as far as all the things that Doug and I don't teach, which is all the actual skills of cutting, coloring, and all that magic, go over to Matt's channel, check it out. It's an amazing place to be. Matt, thank you so much for being on today, man. I appreciate
Thank you guys. I really appreciate the time. It was fun hanging with you guys.
Always. Thanks for your time, bro.
All right. See you guys.
Later.
Thanks for listening to the Evo Revo podcast.
Today's podcast was brought to you by Salon Scale, allowing you to charge by what you know, not by what you feel.
Please subscribe, leave us a review, and you can always get more information, including show notes and the video episodes at evorevopodcast.com.